Right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm Sandy, co founder and head of experience at Buyer Foresight. And today, I'm actually pulling in someone who doesn't usually sit on this side of our mic, our founder and CEO, Ashutosh Prasad. And we're going to be talking about something that's very close to our hearts, and that is why Buyer Foresight is now officially offering event production. Spoiler alert, this is not about fancy venues or it's not about mouth-watering cuisines and catering. But what it is really about is delivering experiences that actually elevate brands. Ash, you ready?
Absolutely.
Right, great. So let's start right at the top, Ash. We've always called ourselves a marketing services company with demand generation at the core of our business. And eventually, when we started off as an appointment setting company and then gradually moved into events. And when we moved into events, we always called ourselves still a demand generation company, with events being one aspect of how we get how we get our customers in front of prospects. And we've been doing this for several years right now. Why put our flag in the ground now and launch full scale production?
Thanks, Andy. Absolutely. The reason we are doing this, I think I'll give a little bit long answer. So there are a lot of analyst reports and everything, all the noise which we're hearing about AI. While AI provides you the speed, I think in-person events builds the trust. So trust is essential in any buying economy. And there are a lot of analyst reports which claims that about 75 or more than 75% of event organizers are talking about in-person events. And that seems to be the most impactful marketing channel. And we have been seeing that too for last several years. Now, one thing, and we know how the pandemic went, and we know how many events we planned, which we had to cancel, and then all the pivots we had to take. Post pandemic, one thing we have seen is the costs have skyrocketed. It appears most of the time that the venues and AVs and all these folks related to supporting the events are looking to make up for the lost time, and the cost has gone like sky high. So something in New York, which you could do like 4 years ago for about 5,000, you have to pay like 15,000 right now. It's 3x, but marketing budget has not increased in that proportion. And we have been doing this for long enough to understand that while costs are soaring, engagement is becoming harder and harder. And every marketing organization, every CMO potentially is challenged to justify the expense they are making right now with their events. And 90% of the clients tell the same story. And most of them are saying that they're working with several vendors, wherein they have to work with someone from strategy, someone for content production, or someone for audience acquisition, and then the other for branding and everything else. It becomes harder and harder because every external agency adds cost and complexity to the overall layer. So, and the output is not as great as it used to be. And you have to also understand that buyers are also under pressure because they are getting invitation almost every week. So it has to be balance. And companies traditionally want to partner with someone who gets their brand, who understands the goal, and handles end-to-end execution. End of the day, every agency or every partner has to understand the purpose behind an event, purpose behind the conference or anything you call it. So I think most companies today are looking at end-to-end execution and having executed over 1,500 events globally. I think we have a playbook which most production vendors can't replicate. And since we started as demand gen and naturally we grew into different kind of summits, roundtables, customer programs, partner conferences, user conferences. So we have the DNA of audience first for the audience, which kind of makes it seamless, and hence we felt this is the right time to take a plunge.
Sure. I resonate very well with a couple of pointers that you had made out there, which talks about specifically, the costs going pretty high. And along with costs going high, marketers itself want to invent. They want to do several different things. They're always looking at, what's the next best experience I could provide. They're always looking at how can I provide this kind of an experience at a reduced cost. But in the crux of the whole thing, we're missing out one of the main elements, which is basically having the right persona, having the right audience, and having the right people in the room to provide that experience. So I want to kind of get real, and I want to talk from a field marketer's perspective. Field marketers genuinely do face specific challenges in their respective roles. When it comes to production, what do you think would be the biggest challenge that they would face in 2026?
So I think most of the time field marketers are in execution mode. So the problem is a lot bigger than just executing a conference or an event. I think it begins with the marketing function, the marketing department, what kind of conferences they need, why they need, what all they need to do. And the moment that is structured, there are like three or four major issues which companies are facing today. And the first one is talent and bandwidth. As you rightly pointed out, field marketers are under pressure to provide a better experience for their audience, but uh, that is not enough. And they don't have a lot of time to cater to the audience acquisition, which itself is a tough job. Even if you pull in your SDR team or your BDR team, that does not make it any easier because everyone needs to understand why executives should show up. So in-house teams are constantly under pressure, and they're only getting leaner by every passing month. And as we started, this uh, budgets are not increasing, targets are, and headcount is flat. That's exact sentence used by one of the executives, marketer I was speaking with. So it is very hard to have a senior specialist who can strategize and execute without burning out the core marketing team. So talent is a big issue. Second is budgets and cost. As we discussed, smaller budgets, a lot of inflationary costs, especially in major cities. That is an insane amount of pressure. Uh, and most of the times when budget cut or cost cut exercises happen across the organization, field marketers are the first one to be sacrificed. And if every bad event, the ROI justification falls flat, the cost explodes, and is only going to get harder. And we did a study for ourselves and with a lot of field marketers and CMOs, and they said like 47% of event marketers said that they were very concerned about cost outpacing budgets in 2025, and 43% were somewhat concerned. And I see this trend only going upward in 2026 and beyond. Now, the second aspect of this is vendor fragmentation. So, the availability of a venue at a given time. For example, during the peak season, holiday season, or the Q4, everyone wants a networking party during December before they call off for the year. Now, that's a peak time when you would not get venues availability and everything. So, production team will need more resilience and backup plan than ever. And everyone wants the premium venue. People are willing to pay that premium venue, but then is there availability? And then also, at what cost are you willing to take that? So that continues to happen. So vendors without extensive relationship with venues and experiential vendors will struggle to provide that kind of justification or provide that kind of an option. And the most important piece, which is audience engagement fatigue. As I mentioned earlier, that executives are getting like 5 invitations every day. I have almost 15 odd for this week already in my inbox. With people are giving me free food for showing up in New York, networking, and all of that. So there is a lot of engagement fatigue. Attendees are getting too many options and they are very, very selective. And thanks to AI, all the content for most of the events look the same. So attendees have really hard time understanding and justifying where they want their time to be invested. And let's be real, it's no longer about the money they spend, it's about the time they invest. So it is very, very hard. The challenge is curating formats that feel worth the travel, probably the intimacy, meaningful, being memorable, all of that is essential. And going back to a quote from research, like almost 22% of planners say boosting attendee engagement is the biggest challenge for what they have seen in 2025, tied with securing budget and stakeholder buy-in. So that again will see upward curve in 2026 and beyond. And the last piece of this is security and risk, which is a lot of focus on physical security, cyber security for event apps, and reputation risk if something goes wrong. Because there is a lot of let's be real, there is a lot of activities from not so legal vendors start to happen, like around every big event, you start getting emails from people selling list of attendees. And no organizer is publishing the attendee list anymore, apart
Exactly.
unless you sponsor. And even if you sponsor, the trend is towards doing everything within the event app or a place. So all of this makes it extremely harder and harder for an in-house agency or in-house marketers to pull it off without an external help.
Sure. You're talking about audience engagement, and rightly so. Like how you receive several invites. I do remember one of the events that I'd gone to. A CIO that normally keeps showing up at a lot of our events, considering the fact that he sees a lot of value in the engagement, says just for today. He showed me his calendar and he said, just for today, I have 15 other invites that I have to be at for dinner, but I chose yours because yours felt more valuable in the room, especially discussing whatever topics are being discussed. Similarly, there are a lot of trends that have been surfacing in 2025. What do you think are going to be some of the major trends that are going to be surfacing in 2026, which you think are overhyped?
Yeah. AI is after everyone's job, but unfortunately, not for events. You won't have robots talking at events. So that's not happening. Metaverse events, yeah, awesome. Sounds very exciting, but not really. I don't think the large contracts are discussed there. So that's not happening. There is a serious wave of investment going into event tech space, and I track that very enthusiastically. And I must tell you that a lot of that is overhyped, and it is only becoming like a time where after you use let's go back in 90s when or to early 2000 when you bought a SFDC license, then you need a whole admin and then an entire production team and a lot of consultants to pull you off. I think event take is getting there where each tool is piled on another that don't actually improve anything. In fact, it is only confusing the attendees. You Everyone has, I think, more than enough apps on their phone, and if you're an iPhone, then there is already more. How many more apps can you accommodate? How much more memory do you have? So that's event tech is not helping at the moment. Uh, there is a lot of a gimmicky stage design, like a lot of huge spend on different kind of stage aesthetic and all, which may not be proving that amount of an ROI, but then that is happening. And lastly, I think bigger is always better does not feel as impactful as it sounds. Yes, there is a place for larger events. There is a place for. I'm not saying everything should be intimate, but I think everything should be meaningful.
Yeah.
If, for example, and we have done small and big both, and we know both can work as long as genuine connections are built. If you are inviting your partners, and your customers, then you should know what are they there for. And the value has to not be only earned by the vendor, the value should be delivered to the participants as well. So these are some of the big trends I'm seeing. And one thing I must also add, the attrition rate before the events, that has seen that has gone up and up since last 2 years. So that is going to remain a challenge for all the event planners, and all the event marketers and planners will have will be very scared before an event, and they're always, their heart is in their mouth till the attendees finally show up. So that is going to, the attrition rate is only going to get worse in coming years. So got to be prepared for that. As how do you absolutely make attendance a no-brainer?
So while you were talking about some of those trends, every single pointer that you spoke about, I could actually reflect just from my experience less than a week ago at one of the large events out here. I don't want to name the event, obviously.
World's largest tech event, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was there, and then, talking about metaverse, there were a bunch of these organizations that had brought in robots culturally developed to, accustom the kind of clothing, the kind of tradition out here, metaverse, and all of that stuff. And every time I tried to go have a conversation, it was not even a conversation. It felt so artificial. It felt so unrealistic that, I was like, can I get out of the space? And then talking about, different stage setups, organizations are trying to do more with less. So instead of going across in space, they're going higher right now, vertical. So they have like different levels where they would have like like they would have like a command center. They go one level higher. You actually have a meeting room to have those casual conversations while you're at the event itself. It was, frankly speaking, while it came across, okay, people are thinking about how they can make the most out of their investments. It still did not come across, that human element wasn't there, that experience was not there, which a lot of people could provide. And then, right after that event gets over, you see LinkedIn is full of posts about how many people were there, about how great the event was, about how many people showed up at the booth, what all they did. No one's talking about actual numbers. Nobody's talking about outcomes from there. Everybody's talking about how great the event was and how successful it was. But without the numbers speaking out there, it felt like it was pretty upsetting, frankly, from a marketer's perspective, right? So, reflecting on years of like experience coming from here, what's one thing you've learned about people, not just business, from producing so many events?
Well, I think uh, most of the senior executives, the higher up you get, I think they can do what you provide at an event at their own leisure. So they don't need an event organizer to do that for them. So end of the day, it all boils down to how they felt about the connection, the conversation, and the experience. If participants, and I'm talking about mostly senior level executives, if they walk out with few genuine connections, I think they will always remember. And there are several participants in past. So the reason they are still continuing to show up our events is that they have always made few genuine connections from each of the events, and a lot of them are doing business together in different capacities. So that is very important. The agenda, the slides, the aesthetic will, yes, make a difference to an extent, but then after the initial 5 minutes or 15 minutes, I mean, it is just like another event setup.
Yeah.
So then the content, the connection, that is the most important piece. And most attendees crave for real conversations where they can uh, just express their experience, or I should say frustration, because sometimes it is hard for executives to share their internal frustrations internally because everyone is in different role and nobody understands the pain of that role phase. So at an event, they get to speak with another fellow executive who's having the similar pain. So they start nodding immediately and they start having a deep conversation, which can even talk about like how they address some of the issues and things like that. So these are very important, and obviously, like under stress for every team, you can see what they're made of. So a collaboration will always help, as opposed to, since I'm the head of marketing, I'm saying so. So it is essential to ensure that events are properly orchestrated for attendees to get a proper experience, get a proper view about the products. Because let's get also this straight, that attendees do come to an event to know more about a vendor. So there has to be ample opportunity for that too, but not at the cost of just shoving that up in their faces. So that is very, very important. And a lot of small gestures, I think, makes a ton of sense, like personal welcome at a 200 people conference. You remembering each attendee's name, that's amazing. That goes a long way. So those things are very important.
Uh, I know you do that pretty well at every single summit that we have. Considering the fact that we screened all of our participants before, you would remember, you would always put a name to the face out there.
Yeah,
All right. So you're talking about, execs wanting to understand what it is to run a wonderful event. Um, I want to get very specific right now. If I am a CMO of a large B2B organization, why should I choose you over a traditional event production company?
absolutely. That's a great question. So I think it all starts with strategy. So we are a strategy first organization where we focus more on why a particular event exists, how many events you want. We're not focusing on the lights, the banners, or we're not focusing on the venue at all. We are focusing on what do you want to do, why do you want to do, and then we start working from there, focusing on content and everything. So it all starts with, since we are the demand gen experts, we focus on, okay, how do we design an event which is a vehicle for brand perception and business outcome, not just logistics. And we focus more on accountability, wherein one partner who is handling all aspects of your event, right from your content. So we also get feedback from real participants before an event on the content, so that who are part of our community, so that we can get a real sense on, yeah, whether the content is valid and it is making sense for them. Because a lot of time, as a vendor, as a product owner, we are so deep down into our product, it's very hard to see that we are just talking about ourselves. So it is also important to be a little bit outward focused, and we provide that environment. So that is part of the accountability we take from hosting and executing your end-to-end event, right from strategy to execution. And we also provide the required scale and efficiency. We have built several thousand database of venues and different kind of experience vendors in our database, which allows us to get a preferential rate, which allows us to get focus on more regional focus. So, for example, if you are hosting an event in Paris, I mean, Eiffel Tower is a great choice, but don't you think everyone who stays in Paris has been to Eiffel Tower many times?
Yeah.
So it's very important to understand who are the executives, and try to have a difference between what a tourist destinations look like versus what a local would prefer in terms of having a conversation. So we think nuancely into that to make sure that we provide the right experience to the right kind of audience. And our partnership with venues and vendors allows us to save flat 10-15% cost for our clients on venues, which is a lot of money right now. And we have produced events in almost every major region. So we can scale wherever is needed. So right from Dubai to New York to Singapore, we understand how the audiences are and what needs to get people ready for an event and have conversation. The other piece is transparency. There is no hidden fees. There is no mystery line items. We make sure all the items are properly vetted and shared with our customers. I think peace of mind is a word which I think all event marketers would die for. So events are always unpredictable, and when things go wrong, you have a team ready 24/7 to support. So you don't have to be worried at all. So that is one thing which we provide to you and to your event team. And experience first. So we design the moments that feel like your brand and stick with attendees long after they have left the event scene. So those are some of the essential elements which we focus on, which allows us to host an end-to-end event.
Impressive. I want to kind of outline that once again because I felt like every bit of that was pretty important. So, you said strategy first, you said accountability, you said scale and efficiency, transparency, peace of mind, and experience first. I think that's something that every CMO or every field marketing head in an organization would die for if they were
Yep.
working for an event. All right, let's fast forward. Where do you see event production heading in the next couple of years?
I think there is a need for speed, which means no one has time for like 6 to 12 months to plan an event. I think future events will be high impact experience events, which can be spun up in weeks. If I mean, couple of months, I think a couple of hundred participant event is still not cannot be done in weeks, but there will be need for that. The second piece is hybrid done right. I think there is a huge market for hybrid. I think everyone is looking at hybrid, and every event should be hybrid, but it has to evolve. The future is blending the reach of digital with the intimacy of in person. So that is essential that neither audience feel second tier. So you have to engage both the audience. You have to cater to both. So that's very important. The third is memorable scale. Even smaller events can have bigger personality. I'm not talking about just marquee speakers. I'm talking about you can make memorable. You can make it an experience which is worth remembering. So that's what is essential. There is a need for continuous innovation. So tech is there. You just have to be smart about how you're using the tech, how you're using the new experience formats, and how you are engaging your audience. So audience engagement beats everything. So that needs to be there all the time. Uh, and then community building. It is very, very important for companies to own their own audience. So events have a lot of companies spend hundreds and thousands of dollars to come up with some great content, and then they just forget that. But events produce a lot of very, very important content. And if you are having a conversational event, then you're also creating a lot of user generated content, which is from the attendees, which are your buyers, which are extremely valuable. So you got to make use of that properly. You got to make sure you also invite your audience to build a community and have a conversation without the expectation of getting them into your funnel. If you do not get them into your funnel, if you do not try to do that, they will get there because you are providing the value in form of the conversation. You're providing the value by understanding them, their roles, their priorities, and you are using that user generated content in different formats to make a similar audience aware about what you do and how you do. So those are going to be the most essential pointers, which I feel.
Brilliant. So primarily events that are bold, memorable, engage the right audience, and most importantly, kind of building a community from what you've already experienced. I think everything that you spoke about today was absolute gold. Thank you so much for chatting with me, Ash. And yeah, great time spending with you.
Awesome. And if anyone is tired of listening to generic overpriced events or like those large event agencies, then they should know where to find us. So all good.
There you go. Wonderful. Beyond events, beyond catering, this is what event production should really look like. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and until I see you on the next one. Thanks, Ash.
Thank you. Bye.